I pray that you do become a professional basketball player. I pray that you win MVP. Glory be to God. But I also pray that you stay strong and continue to walk with God through whatever doors He opens up. Our next prayer request comes from someone who has been a long time caller into this broadcast, and someone that I have been in prayer for many times, and am always glad to hear his requests. And this week he says, please pray for me to stay in God's will and to continue to do what He has called me to do out of love. Amen, child of God. Amen. I was happy to do that. Next prayer request. I am applying for this job, and I hope it is something that will help me in the future and will help me to grow. Amen. Give us a call back and let us know if you got the job, what's going on. I haven't heard from you since this came in, and I would like to know where you're at and what God is doing. And I do pray that this job was yours, and that it was also a blessing for you and for those around you. And I also pray that you will honor God with the income that you get from this job. Our next request, I believe this is from a young woman who writes, I am Catholic, and I have been going to this Christian Bible study, and I just pray I find the answers I am looking for and to grow. Amen, child of God. Again, give us a call. Let us know how it's going and what's happening. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to pray for you. The next question is it possible that certain sins can be genetic? Well, I have heard about generational curses. That's been talked about. That's been talked about quite a bit. And I have not heard of anything known as a genetic sin. Because in order to be a sin, it would have to be something that you willfully committed. Now, our parents and our grandparents have had a lot of influence over us, especially in our early years. And we can be conditioned to act like them, or to act like what they tell us we are. But influence and conditioning can be broken, and there can be deliverance. There will be deliverance from it if you seek it. And it may come from whichever way you choose, a deliverance ministry or theophostic counseling, or it could be something that would take a little longer, as in conventional Christian counseling. But there is and there can be deliverance from all of these things. Okay? I don't think that there is any case for a genetic sin. There can be genetic predispositions to things, but I really don't think there is a genetic sin. How can we point out things that are demonic or spiritual in this world? Okay, things that are demonic. Now, it seems like a simple answer, but think about it. Anything and everything that leads you away from God is in our flesh or has demonic involvement. where did Eve's temptation begin? God said, don't eat it, but where did she go? She went right to it to sit there and look at it. Who fed that temptation? Who nurtured it? Who convinced her that God was keeping something good from her? Anything that takes you away from a close relationship with Jesus Christ is something to be avoided. Okay? If you're looking for the obvious exorcism type things, if you're looking for those, they're there. They happen. But it's the subtle twisting of what God made good. The subtle... Okay. I am going to assume for a moment that we're all adults here. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and say this. Sex is something that Satan has perverted from as far back as we can remember. Alright? But it was still something that God created. And God created it to be good and beautiful for a couple. But He created it for a married couple in the confines and security of a marriage relationship. Satan has turned it into a spectator sport. Okay? That was not what God intended. He has twisted and perverted, and it is a demonic influence running throughout our culture. In fact, throughout many cultures, that this has become prevalent. Okay? That is something demonic. Something to be avoided. Keep it where God put it, because that's where it belongs, and that's really where it is the best. Okay. Why were foods in the Bible not okay to eat, and now they're okay? Let's look at Mark chapter 7, verses 14 to 19. Again, Jesus called the crowd to Him and said, "Listen to me, everyone, and understand this. Nothing outside a person can defile them by going into them. Rather, it is what comes out of a person that defiles them." After He had left the crowd and entered the house, His disciples asked Him again about this parable. "Are you so dull?" He asked. "Don't you see that nothing that enters a person from the outside can defile them? For it doesn't go into their heart, but into their stomach, and then out of the body." In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. Now, diseases. Because many diseases were spread through animals that people ate. Now, let me focus on one for a minute. Trichinosis. It's a nasty parasite found in pork, and it's viable unless it is thoroughly cooked. And that did not happen with their ways of cooking. Okay? Diseases could also be carried through most of the forbidden animals. Now, while the diseases were very rare in the acceptable ones, nowadays, due to inspections, proper care, vaccinations, and treatments, those diseases are no longer major problems. The idea was then, as it is now, for our health and safety. And there are a large number of people, including a very large number of medical professionals, that believe that adhering to the kosher diet plan